Hey y'all, it's me. It's your girl, the glow up is y'all, and I'm just so thankful and grateful to see another day, another opportunity. Just God is just so good, y'all. I don't know about y'all. Happy Friday. Listen, we made it to Friday. We made it another week. Like God's grace is so sufficient for our lives, y'all. Listen, so much has happened in this week, and I'm just constantly reminded of God's love, His unfailing love, and just thinking about what does God have to say about that? What does God say about you? What does God say about us? What does God say about all of the things that it is that we need to be doing in life? What does God say about that? How does God feel about that? What do you think that God said? What would Jesus do, right? And it's so funny, right? Because it's been a real thing for me this week. And so I wanted to get on here, man, on today to encourage somebody on the day because that's what we do, right? We grow to glow, and we got to keep growing to glow. We got to make sure that this internal stuff, these things that we dealing with, these trials, these tribulations, these things that we're dealing with on a constant daily basis, right? Even when we're going through the things that we sometimes don't even feel like we even have control over, right? We're giving it to God, and we can't let these things consume us because this is what we do. Like we have to grow through the pain. We got to grow through the hurt. We got to grow through the pruning. These things don't feel good, but it's necessary for our growth. And it's necessary for the glow. It's necessary for the glow. Do y'all see me glowing? Okay. God been doing some things in your girl's life. Okay. Everything that look like it ain't working out for your good, I promise you it's working out for your good, and it's working out because at the end of the day, man, God gets the glory for all of this joy, all of this peace, because joy and peace, listen, it's eternal. It is eternal. That means that even after I die and I begin to live, because guess what? Because Jesus died, I resurrected with him. Lord have mercy. Y'all, listen. God got me fired up today. Okay. God got me all the way fired up. And I'm just sitting here because I've been like, God, you know what? You've been letting me know that you are the way. And I'm just like, Lord, I thank you for allowing me to accept you. Y'all, listen, what does God have to say about us? What does God think about us? What does God say? Like, what does God want us to do? Right. And I think that we talked about this a little bit, but I was like, man, I got to bring that thing back. We got to talk about that again because it's so sufficient for us to put it and drill it in our heads. What does God think about us? We live in a world, man, that the world tells us all different types of things about us. The world tries to tell us that we're big. The world tries to tell us that you don't have this. The world will remind you of the things that you don't have, but God says, listen, you got me. So because you got me, guess what? You got it all. Did y'all hear me? God says, if you gave me a yes and you said that you believe in me, right? And you've confessed that I'm your personal savior, guess what? You got it all. You don't even know yet, but you done hit the jackpot. Hello. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody, because everything is working together for our good. It always is. Y'all, this thing hit me like a ton of bricks this week because as of lately, right, God has literally been doing his big one with me, okay, and dealing with me with some friendships, some family ships, and everything, okay? Like when I say everything, he ain't nothing been untouched in Toya's life. Ain't nothing been untouched. But God has already been dealing with me too, like with my taste, right? My taste and the things and my thoughts, right? Because a lot of times, right, we have all of these different things and we have all of these plans that we have. And I talked about this last week because God says, for I know the plans that I have for you, right? I have plans to prosper you, not to hurt you or harm you, but I have given you a hope and a future. That means that you have a hope and a future. That means that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, even when you feel like you're ready to give up. This is why it's so important for us to continue to remind ourselves of who we are. Because when God begins to tell you who you are, it's true. We have to believe him. We have to be able to receive what it is that God is trying to tell us about us. Do you know sometimes, y'all, and it's so crazy because I'm in this journey right now, right? And as of lately, if you're not following me on TikTok, check your girl out. The Glow Up is on TikTok. And so I've literally been blogging, right? And holding myself accountable. I don't do no extra touches, no editing, no none of that. I just hold myself accountable. And whoever gets to see the videos, they just see the videos, right? And so I'm always constantly reminded of myself that, you know what, just because you're going through this doesn't necessarily mean that it's not useful, right? So I'm always constantly recording myself and being intentional. So basically, the whole purpose of me blogging is to ensure that I'm being active every day. It doesn't matter what it is, right? I'm constantly have to move. And so because I'm making sure that I'm staying active, whether or not if it's cleaning, whether or not if it's me walking, whether or not if it's me doing a workout, whether or not if it's me, just making sure that I'm just moving around, taking steps, whatever, right? I'm just making sure that I'm active. And so, me being intentional, I've literally made it to 7 weeks. Your girl is 20 pounds down, and I am so excited, y'all. Listen, because I said, you know what, it's so much that goes on inside of us, right? And sometimes in our minds, we can begin to compare our lives to other people's, right? Because listen, I tell you what, that is literally not of God. God doesn't want us to compare our lives to other people, right? And we have to be constantly reminded that we are something to be reckoned with on our own. Like that is why I said, we're gonna have to reel this thing back in. We need to replay this thing because listen, it is all about what does God say about us? What does God say about it? What does God think about you and I? Who did he tell you that you are, right? And I think that sometimes, right, we get so caught up in the things that we do. We get so caught up in titles. And I think that sometimes when we look at our titles, right, because, I'm a sister, right? I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, right? I'm an auntie. I have all of these different titles, right? But none of the titles really matter at the end of the day. But the main title is when God calls me by name, right? And it's just me and him. I'm going to have to answer to this thing. I'm going to have to answer to what it is that he wants me to answer to. So I wanted to take it to Matthew chapter 4. And when you all get a chance, read it. I'm really going to basically just give you a little synopsis of it, right? But beforehand, before you get to Matthew chapter 4, you go to Matthew chapter 3 and Matthew chapter 2. But Matthew chapter 3 is really where it's at. So Matthew chapter 3, let's start there first. So Matthew chapter 3, literally, Jesus comes on the scene. He meets John the Baptist. John the Baptist is literally out in the wilderness, right? And while he's out in the wilderness, he's literally preparing the way for Jesus, right? And he recognizes who Jesus is. And I thought it was so dope because he was like, look, listen, you ain't even supposed to be doing this right here, right? It's not fitting for me to baptize you. You should really be baptizing me because I be preaching about you because you are the way, right? So I'm literally preparing the way, literally. And now you're here in the physical. And now you telling me you want me to go ahead on and you want me to baptize you? Okay, well, okay, since you said so, I'm going to go ahead on and be obedient. How many of us would have been obedient in that moment, right? Like this is literally God in human flesh, literally telling you, oh, no, it's right for you to do this. You're supposed to do this. Like, don't worry about it. It's okay. You're supposed to do this. And I don't know whether or not I would have, I don't know how I would have felt. Like, I would have been like, no, I don't think I can be able to do this. But because you God, I'm going to go ahead on and listen to you because you got to try the spirit by the spirit. And all of this was spiritual. And I started realizing it, right? And because I was like, dang, I said, this thing's starting to get a little deep. So anyway, keep following me, right? So anyways, he baptizes Jesus and Jesus literally comes out and there's a dove and God opens the heavens and he says, this is my son in whom I am well pleased, right? So mind you, John the Baptist was already in the wilderness, right? Preparing the way for the way, the real way, which is Jesus, right? And so then in chapter 4, the way is now led into the wilderness by the Holy Spirit, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what in the world? What is going on? This is crazy, right? So right before that, he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. But after the 40 days and 40 nights, it was like the Holy Spirit led him into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. So what I'm saying is, and I say all of this to say, right, is that we constantly have to remind ourselves, right, that we literally have to understand that only Jesus is the way. Y'all, that thing hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, well, wait a minute. I said, so he mean to tell me that John the Baptist was preparing the way and the way was walking with him. He baptized the way. And now the way done fasted 40 days and 40 nights. And then after he done fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, now the way is now being led into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. Y'all, and this is where we come on the scene, right? Because at the end of the day, right, when we start fasting, when we start being intentional with our time with God, right, our spirit is fed. Our spirit has everything that it needs because we're recharging, we're regrouping, we're renewing, we're taking that time out where it's just me, you, and God is constantly reminding us of who we are, and we're not distracted by the things of the world. We're just constantly in everything that it is that God has for us. And then while we're in that thing, right, we're led into the wilderness, and here come all of the trials, here come all the tribulations, here come the bills, here come the kids, here come everybody wanting you to do this, do that. They tugging at you, they pulling at you, they don't want half of it, they want all of it. You know, the bills and stuff. Everything is just coming at you, hitting you at one time. Friends are leaving you, right? Ain't nobody there for you no more. Ain't nobody rooting for you. Ain't nobody cheering on you, right? And here come here come that devil. Here come that devil trying to lead you in temptation to try to remind you of who you used to be, right? Because this is the thing, right? Is that if we don't spend the time with God, we're not going to be able to know our true identity. This is the thing about the enemy. The enemy already knows, and he has an idea that, guess what? He doesn't know the plans that God has for you, right? But the thing is that he knows that you can get closer to God more so than he can. He knows that God loves you. He knows that your creator loves you, the creation. He knows that you have authority. He knows that you have power, but he's trying to remind you of who you used to be because he wants you to be consumed in who you used to be. He wants you to have a pity party. He wants you to be ashamed of all of the things that you felt like you done did. He wants you to feel unqualified. He wants you to just throw in the towel. He wants you to give up. He don't want you to win. But God says, guess what? You are going to win. Why? Because you take the time to spend with him. And he's constantly reminding you. So what do you think how in the world do you think that Jesus actually was able to let the enemy know that you can't live off bread alone? He was like, look, turn these stones into bread. Y'all got to read Matthew chapter 4. That thing hit me. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, wait a minute. You know, you can't just live off bread alone. Like, yeah, you know, I got a little substance to this thing, but no, this ain't enough. I need more than this. You can't just live off bread alone. This is what God is telling. This is what God is telling the enemy that, like, y'all, we got to give it back to the enemy just like that because we got to be reminded. Like, look, listen, what does God say about me? If God said I can have it, that means I can have it. If he says that I'm the head and not the tail, that's what it is. I'm the head, baby. You see what I'm saying? Like we gotta know that we know that we know that we got this thing. Y'all, listen, I'm telling you, I done had a crazy last 2 weeks, y'all. I promise you. Toya Dagnia lost her mind almost, right? All up in her feelings, all up in these emotions, all over the place, all over the place. But God, because at the end of the day, there is nobody but God. There's nobody like God. At the end of the day, man, God says that I would never leave you nor forsake you. And we got to take rest in that. We got to take rest in knowing that God is not like man that he shall lie, first off. Because if we can accept that, right, then that means that we're connected now to a person to a spirit that's not a liar. God says he's going to do exactly what he said he's going to do, and he is faithful to perform. He's going to complete exactly what he started in us. He's going to finish this thing out, right? Our story has already been written. We don't even know how this thing is going to end, but we just know that God is going to do it. We just know that God is up to something. God going to do something in my life. Listen, I'm telling you, I don't have all the answers, and I still I'm not perfect. But God is perfecting my imperfections. And even when I say, all right, God, that's enough. I don't want to do no more. I'm good. What does God say about that? Like y'all listen, I'm telling you, God has literally been convicting me on a lot of different things as of lately. And I said I was going to talk about some of this tonight. Like we're going to talk about a little bit of conviction levels because guess what? If you ain't getting convicted on some things and you just been doing things and you just been out here sinning and sinning and sinning and just letting them things and sinning just starting to feel good to you and you just ain't got no more conviction level no more. You don't even feel like it's not even morally incorrect, like it's wrong, it's not morally wrong, then something ain't right with you. You might really need to go and seek some help, like seriously, right? And it's not me judging you at all because listen, we've all fallen short of God's glory. I'm just saying. But at the end of the day, you might need to go and get some help. I'm just saying. And I'm one of those people, I don't mind telling you, I see my therapist. Listen, I got to see my therapist at the end of the day. is nothing wrong with you talking to somebody. It is nothing wrong with you having an unbiased party that is there, that is going to help you, that's going to listen to you, that's going to also be able to redirect you and give you resources and connect you to sources that you may actually need. I'm just saying, this is what God does, right? He connects us with people, right? He connects us with people. So, what is God telling you? What is God telling you to let go of? I'm just saying. Like, we all got some levels of temptation. That's why I said we're gonna talk about this thing tonight. What does God say about this thing? What is God telling you about that man? Hello, I'm just saying. What is God telling you about that man? Is God telling you, I don't think you need to be around that man no more? That man is not leading you in the direction that you need to be going in. Is this a distraction? Is this something that is just appeasing you? Do you have this person there when I'm supposed to be there? I'm just saying, like, listen, God is really real out here. Y'all, listen, I told y'all maybe a couple of weeks ago, I was telling y'all I wanted to go see Chris Brown, right? And I was so I was so upset because the thing about it for me, it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to just go see him this year, right? Because I always go see Chris Brown. And last year was the first year I hadn't seen him. So I kind of felt bad because I was like, dang, I really wanted to see Chris Brown. I'm really make sure I really see him this year, right? Because it's 20 years, that he been in the game. And I've been out of school now for almost 20 years, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, right? So you get like to a point where you're just like, man, me and Chris Brown, we grew up together. You know what I'm saying? We all in our 30s, we in our late 30s now, after a while we'll be 40 years old. It's crazy. But I sit back and I'm just like, man, this man is so talented. I've always loved me some Chris Brown. I love me some Christopher Maurice Brown. God's still dealing with me with this thing, right? And it was very unsettling when he told me that I couldn't get the meet and greet tickets because, y'all, I really wanted the meet and greet tickets, right? And God was like, oh, yeah, that's what we doing. Like, you out here literally trying to go and get Chris Brown tickets, but you ain't really even trying to tithe. Oh, all right. Y'all, that thing hit me like a ton of bricks. I can be real with y'all. You see what I'm saying? I can be real with y'all. And I was just like, okay, God, the church don't necessarily need it. Oh, all right. You see what I'm saying? So all of these things, right, began to hit me like a ton of bricks, and I began to be convicted in so many ways because then God was like, well, what does Chris Brown do for you? What is Chris Brown pushing you towards me, or is he taking you away from me? What is he doing? And I'm like, well, God, I still like to listen to Chris Brown, though, because it's Christopher Maurice Brown. I'm making up all of these different excuses, y'all. So I'm literally sitting there and I'm like, well, I just wanted to meet and greet him. He was like, right, but you're creating a fantasy. And that fantasy is not real. That man ain't gonna do nothing for you. That ain't your husband at all. I'm like, God, but you don't know if he my husband. And I'm just like, but who I'm talking to? I'm talking to God. But that was just crazy, right? And I'm like, God, you ain't got to deal with me like this. But this is what God does with us, right? He knows what's best for us, right? And I'm not saying that nothing is wrong with anybody going to a Chris Brown concert. That is not what I'm saying at all, because guess what? I still want to go. I'm just saying, I still want to go see Chris Brown. I still want to go to see Chris Brown, but what I'm recognizing is that there's levels to this thing, right? It's certain things that you just can't do. It's certain things that you're just gonna have to let go of, because when God calls you out and God calls you up, that's what it is, right? When He's trying to take you to another level, when He's trying to move some things and remove some things, right? Because at the end of the day, when I do sit there and listen to Chris Brown, it is certain things that remind me of certain people, right? Next thing you know, I'm dialing, I'm making phone calls that I don't need to make. All right, I'm just saying. Maybe that's just me. I'm just saying, y'all. Like, it's crazy, but let's be real with ourselves. And I think sometimes because we're not real with ourselves, we're not open with ourselves, we're not, we're just always sugarcoating things, and we're trying to just cover things up. Like, we ain't real with ourselves, right? But we got to be real with ourselves. Like, this thing is a real thing. Like, it's really stuff out here that we really just shouldn't be doing, right? But I don't judge nobody else because they do it, right? Because their conviction level ain't my conviction level. Now, for me, I like to drink a little wine, right? God ain't convicted me in that level, right? But one of my friends is just like, she's just like, I can't drink wine. I can't do that. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to drink wine around you because I don't want to cause you to stumble, right? So that's just me giving her a common courtesy. You see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, for me, right, God has not dealt with me in that area. And I pray He don't no time soon. I'm just being real with myself. But because I like me a little sangria. I do. I love me a little sangria, and that's just what it is. But God is really, taking some things from me, right? And so, again, our conviction levels are different. Like, what does God say? What is God saying to you? What is He saying about you, right? Um, What are some things that God is trying to take you up out of? And that's a real thing. Like, seriously, like maybe God is just trying to get you to a point where you just got to be purposely on purpose single. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm just like, God, you know what? You just got to do what you got to do. Like, I need for you to do it because only you can do it. Like, I can't be out here searching and looking and doing, I can't do that. Like, listen, I love me, like, listen, I love me a dark skinned man, okay? I love me a dark skinned man with locks, honey. I think they are just so beautiful. Listen, I love me a Lance Gross. You ever seen Lance Gross? But listen, I'm coming back. I'm coming back because now I'm lusting. That's too much. See what I'm saying? See how God just literally convicted me in the middle of all of this? Listen, I had to come back. I had to come back. But that was me being real, though. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I said it's like, what does God say about you? And when we go into the book of Matthew, chapter 4, when he's literally sitting there and he's being tempted, right? And the enemy takes him to the highest mountain that's there, and he's like, hey, I'll give you all of this if you just bow down before me. And you know, and Jesus giving him the word right back at him. You see what I'm saying? Like, what in the world? Like, what's wrong with you, Satan? You got to know who you're talking to. You see what I'm saying? See, and that's the thing. God wants us to be bold just like that. He wants us to know who we are. And are we perfect people? Absolutely not. Do we always get it right? Absolutely not. But God wants to see the effort. He wants to see us do the best that we can do. And that's all we can do is do the best that we can do. Like sometimes, y'all, I can't do it all. Like I just can't. You know what I'm saying? I'm just one person. Right. And I was sitting here and I started thinking about me multitasking. I'm like, girl, you multitasking, you trying to get all this stuff done before you leave and go to Tampa. How in the world you gonna get all of this stuff done? You ain't gonna get all of this stuff done before you go. You should have did this earlier in the week. Like, what in the world? Sometimes, y'all, we just find ourselves procrastinating. And for no reason, when we had all of the ample time to do what we needed to do. God gave us all of the time, and we still didn't do what we needed to do. It is crazy how life happens like that, right? It is crazy how God will begin to show us exactly who we are. He will begin to show us, right, that we are not our circumstances. Nope. Because these circumstances can change. You think I'm gonna make a decision, right? A permanent decision based on a temporary situation or circumstances that I know that God gonna change for my better, for my best. I can't be out here looking crazy in these streets. You see what I'm saying? But I'll look a fool for the Lord. I sure would. I will look a fool for the Lord. Listen, I'd have been a fool for man, so I can't be a fool for the Lord. I'm just saying. Listen, it's real. Like this relationship with God, man, I take it so wholeheartedly. I do. I take it wholeheartedly because I'm just like, God, you know what? I appreciate you loving me for who I am. I appreciate you for being there for me, right? And I'm constantly reminded of who you say that I am. But sometimes in this world, man, I don't feel like that bubbly person that you created me to be. Sometimes I don't feel like the glow is glowing. Sometimes I just don't feel like, I don't feel like saying the right thing. Sometimes I just want to cuss them out. Sometimes I just want to just knock them upside the head. Sometimes I just feel like you anoint me for such a time as this to be able to go over there and shake them. Like sometimes I be feeling like that, y'all. Like sometimes I be feeling like I want to do all of the things that I'm not supposed to do, all of the things that I'm not supposed to say, right? But I'm just learning, you know what I'm saying? That at the end of the day, right, I can be human, but I cannot continue to make those excuses and continue to say, well, dad, you human. It's okay. It's all right. No, you can't I cannot keep coddling myself. I can't keep just saying, it's all right, Toya, you'll get it. It's all right. No, you're getting older. Like it's some things that you got to mature about. It's some things that you got to learn. It's some things you got to grow through. There's some things you got to grow through. And it's growing pains, y'all. Listen, I had said something and I used to have Facebook. I don't have Facebook no more because I deleted it because I was just like, you know what, Facebook is just too much for me. I cannot do Facebook. It's just not gonna happen. Nope, I ain't doing none of that. They was just like, well, you can deactivate the page. And I was like, no, I don't want to deactivate the page. So at first I was like, okay, I'm gonna deactivate the page, right? So I had deactivated, then I started praying on it, and it was just like, you can actually delete this. You don't need it. Like, you don't need Facebook. So I'm not on Facebook anymore. And I've been just fine. Like I've been okay. It hasn't been the end of the day. It hasn't been the end of age. The times ain't end. None of that didn't happen, right? If anything, I can honestly say that I began to feel like Facebook began to be addictive to me. Like literally, I could not go without touching that Facebook right? Instagram, not necessarily. Instagram, they never really bother me like that. I don't really be on Instagram like that. So I kind of left the Instagram alone. And then I'm on TikTok, but I'm on TikTok because, again, I vlog and I'm just showing, the me just being active every day, right? So I'm intentional with that and I'm intentional with the podcast. But as far as like me just being on Facebook, because guess what? I was taking pictures of my body. And I think everybody's just so guilty of it sometimes. Like we are literally just so, oh, I'm checking in here, I'm checking in there, oh, I'm checking in there. And God was like, I just need for you to enjoy your life. I don't need you to be showcasing your life to everybody. I don't need everybody to know every single thing that it is that you're doing. I don't know who else I'm talking to. Listen, you don't need validation. You don't need affirmation. You don't need none of that. God says, I've already told you who you are, and that should be more than enough. Let's walk in it now. Let's stop trying to make people see what people need to see. Like, just be who God created you to be. That's it. Like, it's enough room for all of us to grow. It's enough room for all of us to get what we need to get. But it's enough room for us all to win. Like, God has called us out by name. He knows us by name, and He has conviction levels for each and every single one of us. We all got them. We all got them. We just like, oh, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? Something don't feel right. You know when that feeling ain't right. You know that man is the wrong man for you. You know goodness well what you're doing, but you're doing it anyway. That's a choice on you, right? And that's something that you got to deal with. That's something that you got to, that's something that you got to deal with God with, right? Like this thing is real. Like, listen, y'all, I literally began to start thinking about relationships, family ships, just all of it, right? And I was just like, man, when people literally say that they want to walk away from me and they they just, it is what it is, and people start moving funny. Listen, I let people move funny, I let people move accordingly. Like I still love them and I still care about them. But what I'm not gonna do is become anybody's pedestal, anybody's doormat. That's dead. Okay. That is all the way a dead. Because listen, the last time I checked, God says, listen, last week. And we was just talking about this last week. God said that was just Resurrection Sunday, just this past Sunday. God says, I'm alive. So if I'm alive, that means that you're alive. That means that you got some things that you got going on, and you can do what you need to do. Okay. So we're not even going to talk about these dead situations. Only God can resurrect the dead. It ain't on you to resurrect nothing. And if that's what it's supposed to be, then that's what it's going to be. Right. And I'm learning that. I'm learning to be okay with that. I'm learning to be okay with whatever and whoever people think that I am. I could care less. Listen, that ain't my business. Y'all listen. I don't even literally want to sit there and talk about things that it just don't bring me no good energy. What's the purpose of me talking about? Like for what? Right? It's so crazy because I'm just constantly reminded, what does God say about you? What does God say about me? What does God say about us? What is He saying to us? What does He need for us to do? And some of us, man, we just get so caught up in the things of the world, man. We want all of this attention from everything else except God. Like God has literally been trying to get your attention, but yet you ain't giving Him nothing. Some of us have been slacking on some of the things that God has called us to do. And some of us can't even get the things that we need to get because we so focused on everything else and everybody else. I'm just saying, ouch, that thing hurt. Y'all, I'm telling you, when I'm talking to y'all, I promise you I'm talking to myself. I promise you I'm talking to myself because it's a real thing, y'all. This is a real thing. We got to grow, man. We got to grow. We got to glow. But we got to remember what God says about us, man. And my whole thing is if God is literally telling the enemy, like, no, you got the word confused. You don't know the word. See, you just using bits and pieces. And that's what people do. People will literally use bits and pieces of the word to try to manipulate you and try to make you feel all different types of ways. But see, you gotta call these people out. Sometimes you just gotta be bold and just let them know what time it is. Let them know who you is. Let them feel it. Because you ain't gonna be able to sit over there and keep playing dumb. You can't be over here just observing all the time. You gotta stand for something. Because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Y'all, my grandma used to tell me that all the time. Like, common sense don't grow in everybody God. And I'm sitting there like, well, darn. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, grandma. But shout out to my grandma. Shout out to my granny because she be watching this. Listen, my granny Ola, I love her. That lady be watching, okay? She gonna support her grandchild, okay? So I appreciate her. I appreciate y'all, of course, always. And I thank y'all, man. I thank y'all so much for watching, for sharing, for just continuing to just be here on this journey with me because this is what we do, right? We grow to glow. It ain't comfortable all the time. It hurts sometimes, but we know that it's necessary. We know it's necessary for the glow, baby, because we got to light up, we got to shine. Because at the end of the day, ain't nobody gonna dim our light. Nope, 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 nope. Not when we know that God has so much to say about us, honey, and we believe what God says, not what the world says. Okay, we not like the world. We not like that. We like God. Yeah, because we want to be like God. You know what I'm saying? Because God will be like, they not like us. They not like us. Let me stop acting crazy. But anyways, y'all, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And I'll see y'all next week, next Friday. I love y'all. All right, y'all. See y'all later. Bye.